Hello, everybody. Welcome to Pia's Office Hours. Woo! My name is Alyssa Castro. I'm the Director of Partner Success here at Pia, as well as your moderator for today's session. Thrilled to have you all joining us. And with me today are three incredible voices. Nick Ricucci, one of our Partner Success Managers. Pablo Clemons, Director of Automations at Rarity Solutions, one of our partners. And then last but not least, David Schwartz, Pia's Chief Executive Officer, who will also be co-moderating with me. All right, but before we dive in, let's cover a few quick housekeeping items. We're going to run for a full hour today, and the chat feature is open, so you can choose to keep your comments private or share them with the community and other attendees. But also remember, you don't have to wait until the Q&A session to ask questions. You can drop them in the chat at any time, and I'll be monitoring them throughout the session. And then also, please stay tuned after the session for a short survey to help us keep improving our office hours. If you've attended before, you'll notice that your feedback has helped shape today's experience. So we really do take that feedback seriously and value it. All right, so what are we talking about today? Let's dig into our agenda. Today, we're focused on creating space for technology updates and discussion. First, we'll start off with PIA-specific updates from our CEO, David. He'll share what's new and where we're headed with our product. And then we'll move into an open discussion where we'll talk about transformative behavior we're seeing across our partner base in regard to PIA and other technologies. We'll share some real-world stories and innovations. And specifically, this is where Pablo comes in. He's joined us to share Rarity Solutions' journey and perspective. He's got a lot of cool things to share with y'all, so I'm excited for the conversation today. And then finally, we'll wrap up the last 15 minutes or so with live Q&A with the attendees, guided by your comments and questions throughout the session if we're not able to get to them during the discussion portion. And as always, we'll end with that quick survey so you can share your feedback. All right. That's it for me. Let's get started. David, I'll hand it over to you.
Cool. Thank you, Alyssa. Excited to be here. When Alyssa sat me down a few weeks ago in Miami at DataCon and asked me to do this, I will admit I was a little nervous. So I think me sitting in a bit of a co-moderating role and using this actually as an opportunity for myself to learn from folks like Pablo and Nick is the approach I'm taking. So hopefully that's valuable for everybody joining us too. Before we jump into that, though, a couple updates on things that we're doing here at PIA that I'm quite excited about. The first thing, I think that many of you may have already seen this, but a gentleman who many of you probably know by the name of James Allen, who works for us, we've just promoted him to a new role, which I'm quite excited about, which is our Chief Community Officer role. The reason I want to call that out specifically is a huge focus of ours now and going forward into 26 is focusing on this group right here, which is our community of existing partners and how can we work closer together. And so while we monitor and we're working and always looking at our Discord channel and the requests and having a lot of amazing calls with our partner success team and our partners, we want to emphasize it even more, our investment into the community. And so a lot of that's going to be driven by James. We want to gather partner feedback. We want to improve product capabilities and just our general support offerings across the board. And so one of the things that we're really excited about that's in conjunction with James stepping into this new role is, which will be a press release. I'm giving you all a little bit of the early access information, but next week on this, we're launching something called the Automation Hub. And this is really, really exciting. But ultimately what it is, it's a unified space where MSPs and vendors can actually solve real world problems together. And so what you'll find there is ultimately like a marketplace, no cost, but a marketplace of all these amazing integrations and automations that are built for you. And so we're going to call this PIA packs, but basically what they are sets of ready to use pre-built automations that'll integrate directly into your workflows today. So rather than having to go build some of these things custom, rather than having to take up space in your tenant today, we've taken a different approach and stood up an automation hub specifically focused on driving this community element, but also giving you all better tools at your fingertips that you can always start looking into, leverage, and tap into and download as you start facing those challenges in your organization. So, like I said, these PIA packs are ultimately groups of automations, integrations, and also some blueprints as well to help guide you along the way. But what's really exciting is when this launches, and like I said, we're announcing this next week, we'll have about 30 packs ready to go out of the gate. And so a lot of valuable tools ready to go for you day one. And from there, what we're going to do is actually partner with a lot of the vendors that you're already working with today to continue to evolve that from there and build more future automations. We'll also, and we'd love this, and we'll talk a little bit about this today, I think, look to you all as the community. And if there are things that some of you have built as MSPs today that are having a tremendous amount of success, and you're open to sharing that with other MSPs in the network, it's a great opportunity to actually publish those to our automation hub as well. So really driving that element that we're after. But what I did want to tease you all a little bit with are some of the packs that are going to be available at launch. So there's going to be a bunch of stuff to help drive onboarding of new users even more than we already are today. So you'll be able to get some benefits there. We'll have some packs around G Suite, which I know has been a huge request of, how do I support G Suite customers? We'll have compromised account lockout or challenge user identity via O365, schedule machine restarts, OneDrive management, specifically around offboarding users and archiving, and a bunch more from there. So really a lot of exciting things to come, but like I said, about 30 packs from the get-go that you'll be able to tap into. And then the last piece I want to share, which we'll start showing and doing some webinars around over the next several weeks as we near the end of the year, is something that we're really excited about, and that's going to be our automation builder, which is ultimately going to be a chat-based AI prompt engineering tool. So removing the need to actually write code, PowerShell scripting, et cetera, but have that GPT type of experience that we've all become weirdly accustomed to in just a short 2 or 3 years since the release of ChatGPT, and empowering everybody, even folks who don't actually have those scripting skills today, to be able to build automations to drive more efficiency in your organization. So really exciting things to come there. I'll call out that we will be having a webinar specifically on the Automation Hub in a couple weeks on the 20th. So keep an eye out for that. And then we'll have more webinars coming as well. So that's sort of the exciting things we have going on that really get me excited to wake up every day and work hard at what we're doing over here at PIA. But I want to get the spotlight off me. And like I said, I want to use this as an opportunity to learn, not just speak to everybody. So I really want to turn this to be a great discussion and shift it over to, some of the real world AI and automation things that we're seeing in the space today, with 2 guests that we're excited to have here. One is Pablo, who's a partner of ours with Rarity. If you haven't seen his headshot, it is by far the best headshot I've ever seen. So that, before we even really connected, drove me to be more excited about this webinar than anything else. And then also Nick Ricucci, who is our partner success manager covering Australia and New Zealand, and has been with PIA ultimately since inception, helping build that out. And he spent a lot of time with partners, folks like yourselves, exploring how best to use PIA. So I think this is a really exciting conversation to kind of tackle both real world examples that, folks like Pablo and other partners of ours are doing today, and then more of a holistic view as you sort of zoom out a little bit that Nick's seeing across a spectrum of partners. So you guys ready?
Yes.
Cool. All right. So I'm going to tee this up first, and I'm going to ask a few questions, but I'll start with you, Nick. What are you seeing today with your partners as the most common, I'll say, AI use cases and automation use cases with partners that are being actually successfully implemented, not just a nice to talk about, success with?
Yeah, of course. And I think it all comes down to, I believe, the reason why MSPs come to us. And we know that in terms of service request, your clients as an MSP, your clients are not really merciful if you make mistakes in terms of sensitive workflows or SOPs like user onboarding and user offboarding, which are PIA's flagship products and flagship PIA packs and automations. So they come to us with that need. And what's cool about PIA is that we have that pre-built into the platform. So that's where we start. When they come on board, the low-hanging fruit is literally how do we onboard your users? How do we onboard your clients? How do we offboard your clients and your users in a way that's consistent, in a way that's really meaningful? You don't make mistakes. So that's, and the other one is triage. It's pretty easy to configure. And if you think about it, every ticket, just to be triaged, it takes 3 to 5 minutes every ticket, because you have to understand what the user is asking and categorize them. And obviously you have to dispatch the ticket in some way. So you do have to have that sort of mindset and skills to understand what the user is asking. So these, I would say, are the two fastest ROI pathways. Definitely user onboarding, user offboarding, PIA nails them, and triage.
Yeah, interesting. And do you think, Nick, that I know that triage can be approached several different ways, and when you mentioned, it could take 3 to 5 minutes to sort of understand those tickets. Do you think that having the ability to use a tool that truly can comprehend it and differentiate what is urgent versus what the user's calling urgent, or actually really doing a little bit more sentiment analysis, how have you seen that benefit partners?
It is, because sometimes we are emotional and we tend to react to certain type of language. But someone may, we all know this, right? We have users speaking up and being a bit cranky, frustrated for an issue that might not be that priority zero kind of level. So AI, you can use AI to optimize your processes, or you can use it in transformational ways. Sentiment analysis is great because it allows you can combine the tone with the service request type in PIA. I love this because you can say, if the customer is cranky, is frustrated, and as a condition, and it's about a server that's down, or someone is being locked out and can't access the computer, and it's the CEO of the company, then yes, that's a priority zero. So I think opens up new possibilities in the way you think about triaging and your service desk processes in general.
Yeah, I see the same thing. It's doing a little bit of real reasoning to determine, everybody who's ever submitted a service desk ticket to an MSP or an IT help desk has thought their request is urgent. I'm very much guilty of that in my life. Yep. Every request I've ever submitted is urgent, and the reality is they're not. So having tools that can actually better differentiate that, I think, is quite valuable.
Yep.
Pablo, question for you. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you had told me in a prior conversation that you've integrated with Claude. Is that right?
Yeah, it's not so much an integration. I just built a project inside of Claude, and I've given it valid sample code that I've already verified is working properly. It's already vetted. So I give it that code as a reference to use as RAG, along with some like screenshots of instructions and stuff from within the PIA platform, within the knowledge base. And it literally just spits out code. So what you were talking about earlier with that, was it AI Builder is what you called it? The new product within PIA? Yeah, so this is very similar to that. Just think of that outside of PIA, just directly inside of Claude's website.
Sure. And for how long have you been using that?
About a year. I think I built my first project in Claude, said it was built like a year ago, roughly.
And so have you published quite a few new automations stemming from that capability?
Yeah, mostly everything that I write now that's my starting base. I don't go in and write anything from scratch anymore. I build it out from there, and then I just go in and modify the code based on whatever it spits out and whatever I need to, whatever functionality I need. Because obviously Claude's not going to get it right the first time, right? So Even if it did, you kind of want to verify that the code is what you're expecting it to be. So you want to, test everything before you just run it in a production environment for sure.
Yeah, that makes sense. And moving on a little from that, you've done some other kind of unique integrations that you were telling me about offline, with some of the products like Thread as an example, which, we have a ton of shared partners, many of which are probably on this call. I'd love to hear a little bit about that and what you were trying to solve, and how you approach that, because that was really interesting what you were sharing with me.
Yeah, so there's a couple things. So we're actually using Thread for our triage agent. So we're not using that directly inside of PIA. We're using something outside of that just because it bolts into like Teams for, the chat bot and stuff. But in Thread Inbox though, our technicians use that, and we recently moved from manage to Autotask. And so our technicians didn't have to relearn a whole new platform. They use Thread Inbox in both, right? So when we made that transition, there wasn't a PIA pod inside of Thread. So I actually took your PIA pod extension for Chrome, modified it myself to give that Thread Inbox integration. So that's what my team is now using inside of Thread Inbox, to be able to have the same thing inside of, in Manage, it's integrated into the actual ticket window, but
Yep.
in Autotask, it's not, right? And the same thing with, I think, ServiceNow and a couple more that's not integrated in there. So yeah, having that flexibility of being able to customize that extension, it was awesome. So we can push out all of
Yeah,
our flows,
interesting.
everything directly, from PIA that we typically do. We still have that integration directly.
And so ultimately, an inbox, if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, but just for the group, but inbox is basically a better UI UX experience, or a more
Yeah, most of our team
uniform,
was already
more
in it just
responsive
because
one, right?
it just depends on what you're used to. And, it was kind of a
Yeah,
lift because, going from one PSA to another and getting your team to try to learn a whole new UI. They were already experienced with Thread. So tying in PIA into Thread directly, it was just a benefit for us.
sure. That's awesome. And have you done any customizations or extensions with some of the RMM capabilities?
Yeah, data RMM. So I've you guys, I don't want to say recently, but it was a while back. You guys actually created the configuration. What is it called for connected services and integrations? There was a little bit
Oh,
of change
integration
between
gateway.
those, right? So yeah, once we had the integration feature, I was able to go in and build out that data RMM integration, the Duo integration, um, Autotask, manage, all of that, right? So we were able to go in. So I've got workflows now that we could just push out like a new hire, not new hire, but a new machine onboarding, and it'll reach out to Datto API. It'll create a quick job. It'll assign the component, whatever you're trying to push to the machine, script or application. It monitors that quick job. So when it's done, it verifies the reboot process is complete. Then it creates a new quick job with whatever new application you want. So I'm kind of trying to replicate what other people are saying that they're doing with like ME bots and all of that,
Yep.
but directly inside of PIA because we're already paying for it. So why not just build it out directly in there?
Do you feel that's really cool? Do you feel like you've and I'm familiar with ME bots, but if you actually, looking at the laughing emojis, do you feel like you've been pretty successful at replicating that, but doing it within PIA rather than adding another tool to the tech stack?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because I'm able to, every time a machine reboots the Datto RMM API, it updates with last reboot, right? So I can monitor for that last reboot. So I'll know that it actually rebooted, then carry on to the next component or quick job. Then it pushes out
Mm,
the next one, waits for that to finish. The job says it's complete. And I'm also having it capture the details as well, the output, and put all of that back into the ticket as well. So everything that the script does that the quick job is doing, it captures all of that information, the output, it sticks all that back into the ticket, and then the technician can see that it was either complete or it failed or, going from there.
yeah, that's very cool. Cool. And Nick, when you're working with some of your partners and they're, wanting to customize or extend Pia's capabilities. I mean, Pablo just listed some really cool, unique examples, but what kind of things have you seen that others have done that, they've been able to leverage Pia, but to drive, very real world technical innovation within their business?
I have one of the most creative packs that I've seen built out is the ability to connect Pia with a VoIP system to make notes and log time. Any AI is great, an automation tool, they're great with what's on your screen in terms of text and data. When it comes to voice, it's a different story. So I've got one of my partners. They use Zoom as a VoIP system, so they use Zoom for phone calls, and they had a need where they spent then a lot of time remembering what the technician was doing on the call and then translating into notes. Even if it's AI driven, you still have to put your thoughts from translate your thoughts from the VoIP, from the conversation to the ticketing system. So this one, they integrated Pia with Zoom, where now Pia at the end of the call brings up the transcript, connects to Zoom, and then summarizes what the discussion was, sends an email, and logs the time, which is pretty great. So I was on a call with them, and I'm like, I need to see this because it's great, and show me. And so they showed me, it was pretty impressive. So they're saving, I've got the data here. So they're saving 277 minutes per week. Total automation saving 17.5 hours weekly across, and the adoption rate is 40% of all the entirety of the service desk. And that comes back to triage and admin work, David. Often we have automation and AI in mind for the workflow itself, but the ticket is not the workflow. The ticket is from start to finish. There is triage, there is admin work, time shades, notes and translations and translation of voice into text and send email. And we often sometimes neglect that part of the ticket. And this one is amazing. It's amazing results. I can name names. That's Intuitive IT. I can name names because I actually shot a testimonial. They will be online at some point when marketing does the post-production, but they were very happy. Absolutely. And then how does that translate to your end users and customers as an MSP? Because that's the point, right? So they're saying they have now the customer satisfaction increased, and the customers, they can see they have quicker outcomes, and it's great. Because we're not just working for the MSP, we're working for the clients of the MSP at the end of the day.
Yeah, interesting. And when, just for reference for me, the amount of time that you referenced saved, roughly how large is that particular partner? You can give a range of endpoints, but or technicians even would be helpful.
5.
Okay. All right. So that's a considerable number of hours to save.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. Cool. And so Pablo, as we sort of shift a little bit and look at, challenges you had to overcome in your business around this topic, what are some of the biggest hurdles you've dealt with when implementing, more advanced integrations? How'd you work through it? Was it on the adoption side internally? Was it just the mindset shift that comes with doing something different? Would love to sort of understand that.
Are you referring to more of the Pia implementation?
Not the Pia implementation, but as you bring in new things into the organization, for example, leveraging the extension with Inbox as an example, right? And it could be Pia specific also, but things where there's a shift in how your technicians may have to approach doing work, or all of a sudden introducing even new automations that you've built. What does that experience look like, and have you faced any hurdles?
I don't necessarily think I've faced any hurdles, I would say. No, because I just, the team says, hey, we need this built out, and then I'll build it out, and then we'll kind of go over it. We have a weekly meeting. So we just hop on that, kind of go over whatever it is that I had built out that week, or, yeah, I try to integrate as much as I can. There's some things that can't be, like auto, for us anyways. I would like to be able to integrate like Autodesk and a few of those other things, but you have to have the licensing for that. So yeah, for me, there's no real hurdles. It's just the hurdles are some places don't have APIs for me to automate. That's what the hurdle is.
Interesting. Yeah, that is still very much still a real challenge today.
We have
And
a
go
question
ahead, Alyssa.
from
Yeah.
the participants, if now's an appropriate time. We have from Jason. I would love to hear more about the RMM and Duo integration that you were talking about a bit ago, Pablo. Would you mind expanding on that for a bit?
Yeah, so basically what I have is um, in PIA, we kick this off manually from the PIA pod. So it's not an automation. It's not like a triage thing. So basically, if someone needs a new piece of software, we just open up the PIA pod, select the Datto push software package. What it does is it goes out, it looks at the Datto RMM API to see what packages are available. It allows you to select that, and then it goes and says what machines are available to push it for or to push it to. Select that, and then that's pretty much it. So it uses the Datto RMM API. It just kind of pulls that API looking to see if that quick job finishes inside of Datto RMM. And then once that finishes, it just goes on to the next process, right? So it just says, okay, what's the next package or the next piece of software that needs to be installed? It pushes that out via quick job. Once it's finished, the polling ends. It says it's complete, captures that information from the output, kicks off the new quick job. I don't have it fully documented yet, but that is something I'm working on. As soon as I get it in my GitHub and everything, I know I've shared some other stuff previously. So it'll probably just go into that same GitHub, and I'll share that out as well.
Awesome. Nice. Thank you,
Very
Pablo.
cool.
We do have one more question that was along the same vein as what you had just asked about what some hurdles are, David. One question that we have is, what are some common misconceptions about implementing AI within organizations?
I got one.
I'll yeah, let's hear yours, and then I'll give mine.
It's super simple. I just want to. There's AI and automation are completely different. You can use AI in your automation. You can use AI to kick off your automation, but AI is not automation itself. And I just wanted to point that out. You can use it in your workflows, but in itself, it's not going to do everything for you. You still need workflows. You need guardrails. You need, it needs to be, you need to gatekeep it.
I could not agree more. I totally agree. A lot of the capabilities we've built in our product today have very specific guardrails in place, whether we've leveraged, like machine learning instead of AI so that we, feel more secure in how we're approaching certain elements. There's times where AI is beneficial to do those things and have some more reasoning up front, and there's times where it doesn't, but at the end of the day, AI and automation are definitely two different things. I would say some of the challenges that I've seen, and it'd be interesting to hear, Nick, from your perspective, and you too, Alyssa, but have been, I think, just fear when we talk about the word AI specifically, is just fear of what does that mean for me in my role if I'm a technician? But what we've actually seen more is quite the opposite, which is let's remove some of the very frequent noise that's going on and put people on a path to be more valuable in what they're able to actually do with their partners, or excuse me, their customers. And it's an interesting thing because we have this industry that's very much, I feel like, at odds, which is your customers expect really fast responses, really, really high level, high quality service, white glove service, never a mistake made, and everything perfectly documented. So if there's ever and a universal experience, no matter which technician you're working with. And the problem I think that we see a lot of the time is that just inherently that is very much against how humans tend to work. It's sort of like, if you've ever seen that triangle where it's like price, time, and quality. And there used to be this theory, like you can't pick three, you can only pick two. And now we've actually entered this world with tools like PIA and AI and automation where you actually can pick three, but you have to have a little bit of a mindset shift, I think, to get there. And so right now we face this issue of the MSP customer and what the MSP can deliver sometimes are at odds with each other, but with bringing in the latest tools, it's a great way to solve for that and then elevate techs so that the quality remains really high, but you're still delivering at a high output in terms of the quantity as well. Nick, I'm curious your thoughts though.
Yeah, in terms of the mindset shift, I think common misconception AI and automation, if you're a business owner or operation manager, like the first question that we ask ourselves is, how do I optimize my processes? So service desk. I believe the question is, so we prioritize optimization over transformation. I think the question we should ask ourselves is, if I were to start my MSP today, would I have the same processes with the AI advancements that we have today? And I think the real question is, how can I transform my processes? So for example, if I were to start an MSP today, I'd be crazy not to use tools like PIA to grab all the automatable tickets, get an automation team, and I'm like, okay, you just process those tickets with PIA repeatable, and then the rest is left with the meaningful tickets, the incidents, and that sort of stuff. So in terms of transformation, that I think it's more important than optimization, because yes, you can optimize your current processes, and I talked about this more deeply, more in its specificity in my keynote. But I think the real question is, how would I do if I were to start today with AI and automation as a table stakes? And I think it's great to adopt that mindset shift as opposed to only optimizing.
Yeah, I like that. I had this really interesting conversation with a newer partner of ours a couple months ago, and when they were in the buyer mode and trying to make a decision on whether they wanted to proceed with PIA or not, one of the things that they were assessing was, well, PIA costs X amount of money, or I can, and this is a larger MSP for context, or I could go hire people, right? A person, I don't know the size at the time, but a person, maybe a small team, to do the same thing. And when we started talking about, well, what's driving your decision-making process, and we started having that conversation, and they really wanted to focus on, and it was actually being very much driven by one large client of theirs, but it was really focused on, we need to drive automation, but we're looking and comparing side by side with hiring. And it turned into this conversation of, well, we know what it's like to manage people. We know what it's like when technicians work out, when technicians don't, how to coach them, how to train them, how to get them up to speed.
Yep.
And it was clearly a gap of, we don't actually know how to have that like mindset shift to implement a solution like this. So there's this comfort in what we know we've done for the last 20 years, and we're having a hard time with the psychological element of looking at tools. And by the way, you could still go hire people, but just think of how much more output you could have when they're better equipped with tools to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you can see AI as an accelerator or as an enabler, and PIA can produce both outcomes. You can enable new processes in transformational ways that you couldn't normally do without automation tools, which is great.
Yep. Alyssa, any other questions coming in on that topic?
Not on this topic, no. But one of the last things, I guess, before this topic we discussed, Nick talked about a VoIP integration, and we do have kind of a VoIP question here, also from Jason. Is there a PIA or 3CX integration yet?
Oh, I can take that one.
Go for it.
Now,
Let's hear it.
funny you're asking, because I was talking to one of my partners yesterday. So up until a couple of years ago, the integration with 3CX was very convoluted. and it didn't allow for certain actions, and the endpoint serviceability was very, very low. So now we don't have a native integration with 3CX, but at the beginning of this year or late last year, 3CX totally reviewed and revamped the API endpoint and the API function. There's a lot of use cases now. You can add a DID, you can add a VoIP extension, you can add users, you can add contacts. I did a deep research with ChatGPT yesterday and put up a table with all the use cases for 3CX, and I sent it over to one of my partners. So I don't know if you're one of my partners, but go through your account manager. I'm happy to send the same document over to you. Okay, cool. Okay. Okay. So it's pretty comprehensive now, and it ties into obviously the new user and user termination pretty easily.
Awesome. Pablo, I'm curious, with a lot of the custom automation work that you've built over there at Rarity, how do you guys look at quantifying the value that you're getting out of it? Is just sort of like gut feel? Are you benchmarking or KPIing or scorecarding against any of this?
No, I look at it, if the technician has to do it more than once, it gets automated. So that's kind of where I'm at with it.
It's a pretty good
Like I'm just
guide.
trying to alleviate them from having to do things more than once. That's really, and also, I mean, to be honest with you, the whole reason why we got PIA was because of the new hire onboarding, offboarding forms. Because we were trying to fill a gap where, you know, some technicians would do it properly 100% of the time, and sometimes it would not get done properly. So we were trying to, you know, just fix that issue, close that gap. And that's what PIA has done for us.
And how are you assessing, and at what frequency, oh, we've done this particular request more than once? We should probably look at automating it.
Yeah, so I mean, basically anything that gets onboarded. So like we have Screen Connect as well. So I've built an integration with Screen Connect. So now it creates our users for us and assigns machines. Yeah, I mean, just anything that we have one client that they wanted the entire global address list to be copied to every single user's contacts when they start. So I've got a process now that does that and then maintains it every time there's a new hire or someone gets terminated, then it does that as well. And that all runs through PIA.
Interesting. I can't even begin to tell you how valuable that particular automation would have been for me in my past life. The number of times like I would print the address book basically in a stack of paper and keep it on my desk because it was just, I can't deal with this anymore. I don't know how to find this.
Yeah, and their issue was
totally
they couldn't access that. They couldn't access the address book mobile, you know, on their mobile device, the global one. So they couldn't see all of the contacts in the company. So that's the whole purpose behind that. So it just depends, you know, it's like that was a random one-off thing that just happened to come up, and then I found a solution for it.
Sure. Is there anything you're working on right now that's new and sort of forward-looking little that you're excited about?
So we are actively going through, we actually just before this call, going through and trying to automate some of the extensions. So I built some onboarding form extensions, and they're customized for each client. But right now they just gather the information and then at the end kind of wrap that up into an Excel file and stick it back into the ticket and send it back to the submitter as well. So we're kind of going through that and refining some of that, trying to get some of that stuff that's just being gathered and turn it into an automated process. So that's actively what we're working on, or what we're actively working on right now anyways.
Okay, cool. And is that a fairly large project for you guys?
It just depends on what it is. I mean, you know, it's there may be some SharePoints or some, you know, whatever it is that they need access to that not everyone may need. We're, you know, putting those as drop down so they could be selected and automatically added, and you know, it's just different things.
Sure. Nick, what about you? I know that you mentioned the VoIP one, which is beyond cool, and I myself want to do a demo of that. But what are you seeing? You know, I know you hosted another partner of ours last week or 2 weeks ago in Sydney at an event. And she's done some pretty interesting things, but anything that stands out to you that's been a big success or exciting things you have partners working on right now?
Yeah, sure. They, Blue Shift, and I think a couple of others, They've done two things that have been highly requested. So the first one is the machine run up. We all know that new users very often, unless they reutilize someone else's machine, they need a new machine as well. So they were able to fully automate. So they have a full new user SOP along with the machine, which is great. And the other one is the round robin to resources, because they have a peer champion that rotates. They have a triage extension that looks into calendars and resources availability and does that round robin exercise, which is great. So these are, to me, especially the machine run up is great because the new user, as we know, that covers the on-prem, the cloud, whatever it might be, does not cover yet the machine, the hardware part, and they were able to automate that to have a full automation in place.
Very cool. That's interesting. And so let me put you on the spot a little, Nick. Have you seen examples of partners learning from each other or helping each other, or any best practices around that?
Yes. So when I was at the event in Sydney, I did get some feedback on the Discord channel, which has helped. So that provides value. And then the other one is I can see MSPs helping each other. We all have obviously the account management partner success team, which does a great job. For a consultancy standpoint, we have MSPs like Belinda. She jumped on calls and she went on site to lateral planes, for example, to help each other understand more on a no operational perspective. How do you really put AI and transformation first in your processes? How do we triage tickets to a peer group? How do we move all these tickets? How do we process multiple tickets at the same time? So that collaboration, I think it's invaluable, because if it's coming from one of your peers, it adds more value and credibility.
Yeah, interesting. And I remember the first time meeting her, and she was telling me, this is now maybe 6 months ago, she was telling me, how successful P has been, and the percentage of tickets that are being automated right now across all their service delivery.
Yeah.
And it was like this very interesting conversation because it was with another partner at the same time. They almost got sort of like competitive with each other, but in a really good, like heartwarming way, where it was like, well, here's what we had to do to make it work. So they started almost bouncing ideas off each other. A little bit around that. So I've definitely seen some of the same things like that. I think that, I mean, it emphasizes why we're trying to invest so heavily in the community, because Discord is one tool, but it's not really the same thing as getting together on a call or in person, or
100%.
how do you network with each other?
Yep.
So now I get to put you, Pablo, on the spot. As I mentioned earlier, we're launching, speaking on this community thing, we're launching this automation hub. We really do want it to be a space where MSPs actually can share things, discover things, solve problems. Some of the questions that were asked just here on this call so far today have been around some of the things that I think potentially you've already solved. For example, I know threat is a huge topic of conversation, as is how do we leverage an LLM, and where does it make sense to leverage an LLM with PIA? So you've taken your approach, and that's great. And there's some other unique approaches we've seen as well, pushing certain things back into an LLM to drive certain behaviors and so on. But my question to you is, would you be open in potentially working with our team and actually publishing some of those as PIA packs on our automation hub?
It's not even a question, man. Hell yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Okay. I love that, because I think that'll solve a lot of problems. I'd love, full transparency, you're the first partner we're asking to do this, so put you on the spot with a bunch of people watching you live. So I'm glad it was a positive response. We'll work with you and come up with a fun, creative Pablo-esque naming pack.
Cool.
We would love to do that. I think there's a lot of cool, unique opportunity there for sure.
Yeah, you guys are on my heels, because I I created my own Duo implementation, and then you guys came in behind me and built a new one. So I actually just switched over from mine to y'all's. So, you know, it depends on how quickly I can get things out.
Okay.
But you know, you might not, you might already have it built by the time I have it, or we might be on the
That's
same, you
awesome.
know.
I love it. Yeah. And look, for anybody else that's listening, if you've built something interesting and really cool and you just through conversation know that other partners or excuse me, other MSPs in the space or could be having a similar issue, we'd love to talk to you, figure out if there's a way to work together, publish those things. We'll also, as I mentioned, work with a lot of the vendors that you guys are all working or contracted with today to try to solve some of the problems that you might be facing. And we're actually going to be dedicating teams to internally to partner with those vendors and build those things. So the idea there is, you know, we want to ship things that'll actually be valuable to you all as quickly as possible and not face any kind of like delays that you might be seeing. And so we're going to take that onus on to really try to bring that to life.
Well, I may have to put Pablo on the spot again with this next question, coming
Sorry,
from
Pablo.
Einar. At Pablo, would you be willing to show one of our partners, another MSP, one-to-one, show us some of these creations you've made?
Yeah, no worries, just hit me up.
Nice, cool, easy.
Cool.
Yeah,
Is the best
whatever.
way,
I'm
Alyssa,
flexible.
for that is the best way
Mhm.
to have that partner just reach out to their PSM and they'll put them in touch with Pablo? Or on LinkedIn, maybe? I just want to make sure we facilitate that.
Yeah,
Typically,
as a matter of
the
fact, I need to reply back to one already. Y'all sent me
I
one
thought
like
you were
last week.
bringing
I
up your
just haven't.
calendar.
No, I haven't had a chance to reply back, but you guys actually reached out to me last week about one of these. So yes, the answer is yes. I'll help you out with that for sure.
Yeah, I know Einar works with Matt and I work with Pablo directly, so Matt and I we'll talk about this and coordinate something for y'all.
Easy. Cool.
We
Alyssa,
do
any
have
other questions
some,
coming through?
we do. Are y'all ready? T- Hope that was a yes.
That was a yes.
Yes.
This one is also uh, for Pablo. Whenever you're thinking about these new additions, creations, innovations for your team, do you have to seek out these things or do you get feedback from your techs to decide where to focus attention for custom packages?
No, so for us, before we got PIA, I already had a bunch of software deployments built out within Data RMM. I didn't want to rebuild all of those. So literally the first thing that I did was integrated in Data RMM so I can push out the jobs that I've already got. So it was we got the value out of PIA as far as packaging, being able to push out packages like as soon as I got that API built. Once that was built, my team, now they push out software directly from the ticketing system through PIA. And I mean, that's just how they do it now. Same thing with onboarding too. They actually, there was one day where I think it was like during one of these Azure outages or one of those, PIA was actually down and they couldn't do the onboarding through the packaging system or, you know, through the pod.
Mhm.
And yeah, they were like, hey, what's going on with PIA? We don't want to do this manually anymore. So they were happy it came back up because yeah, they don't even do anything manually anymore. As long as it's automated in the system, they just use that now.
Nice.
Yeah. The
That-
Azure outages are the equivalent of your whole team calling out sick.
Yeah, it was either AWS or Azure. I don't know,
Yeah,
one of those.
it happens. Go ahead, Alyssa.
don't don't make me have like a flashback from last week.
Yeah.
This one's on the same vein. Could you ballpark around the number of hours per month you've saved with all these automations, and did you reduce full-time employee staffing levels?
Um, I don't know that we've reduced any. Nah, I don't know, to be honest with you. I don't have a number for you. I don't know. I don't really look at that, to be honest. I just automate as much as I can. That's really my focus. The numbers aren't my focus. It's what can we get automated.
I think that's super
That's
fair.
yeah.
Quality of life improvement, less burnout.
Exactly. I don't care about the
Yeah.
money. I care about what can I do less.
I know I do. I had written, because we had the opportunity to meet y'all on site in Houston not too long ago at one of the thread events. I do have a note here from someone on your team, if you don't mind me sharing. It looks like you average 22 onboardings per month with a comparable, if not greater, number of offboardings. And each onboarding or offboarding requires approximately 45 minutes of manual effort per technician, translating to nearly 12 weeks of technician time annually. And now with PIA in the mix, it's taken around 8 minutes per
That's
onboarding. So
about
if you want to
right.
do
Yeah,
the
I mean,
math
those
for that,
packages run quick. Yeah.
Well, that's
And
an
now with the
80%
machine onboardings
reduction.
too.
yeah, and that's
Yeah.
just with onboarding and offboardings.
Users, not even machines. So, I mean, and we're in the AC, and that's our stack, right? So, you know, AutoCAD, Bluebeam, all of those packages, they take forever to install. So I'm using PIA to basically pull those packages down from SharePoint, extract them, and then install them on the machine, and then go to the next one.
Interesting. That those couple automations are a big win. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Now we
Yeah,
have
because some
one
of those
that's
installs could take like 2 hours.
Yeah.
we have one for the greater team. One's from Joe. Well, he also did a statement. Pablo is a rock star on the Discord. So if y'all aren't a part of the Discord, please join on. The link is in the chat. But he also asks, where are these automation PIA packs going to be published? I know you kind of mentioned that, but if you want to touch on that again, David.
Yeah, we'll be so you'll get more information in the next week or two. I'd say 2 weeks. There's a webinar I think coming. I don't know if we've sent anything out yet. I think it's supposed to be on the 20th of November. So we'll be kind of doing a bigger deep dive there, but the Automation Hub is ultimately like a separate tool. So they won't be actually in your PIA tenant when you log in directly. I think there will be a hyperlink in your tenant that'll take you straight to it. To make it convenient, is I believe how it's been built, but we'll demo that and show you in a couple weeks. But think of it as a separate tool or separate system that you'll go to and ultimately download those directly to your tenant. And then from there you can customize them, add custom extensions, etc.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Okay, we've got a two-parter from Anonymous. How do you track your extension automations against the parent packages across all your clients? Part two, how do you know that you have attached these extension automations to the parent package for every client, say user onboarding?
So I've got
Go
a
ahead.
couple different, if you're talking to me, I've got a couple different extensions created. Some that are customized for each client, and then I've got a default one as well that just captures some basic information that's not captured in the standard package. So I've got each one of those inside of the PIA console. You can go in and assign extensions to each one of your clients' onboarding forms to run after. So it's a two-part thing. Nick, you might have to refresh my memory. It's like there's two packages that you have to create. One that runs before to capture all the information, and then one that runs afterwards, right? So it's like a package that calls the extension for the
Yes, you have
onboarding extensions.
as in plugin points, you have before, after, and during, straight before the user creation. And then you have the two activities, one to collect the information and the other one to reutilize the information. The package editor is not my forte, but yes, I believe that's how it works.
I'm going to it right now. Okay, yeah. So you have to have an append to smart form, and then prior to new user creation. So basically what it does is I have it gathering the information. That's the append one. And then the process is actually processing whatever it is that's being
Correct.
captured. Yeah.
A good
Hope that makes sense.
follow-up is, did you find you had to make a custom onboarding script for each company?
You know, the smart form that you guys actually provide captures a lot of information, right? But it doesn't capture some of the applications and stuff that they need afterwards. So that was what the extension was. So we can capture some of that extra information that's just not captured in the initial onboarding form.
Mhm.
But it's not hard, because there's like a little a form builder, where you can like literally drag and drop like modules or whatever on top of the form, and then you can call that form from within your package. So it's not hard to build out. It's a little tedious depending on how much you're trying to gather. But I mean, it's a one-time thing though. I'll tell you that, so you don't have to go out and do all this manually after the fact. You could just do it one time, and then it does it all the rest for you. So it may be a little tedious up front, but I mean, once you get past it, it's done.
Nice. Cool. Good. We have one last question that I see. We have about 4 more minutes left, so if you have any questions, get them in now. The one remainder one is, this will maybe a good one for Nick and David. What happens if we don't have PowerShell experience?
I can take that, David.
I'll
Or-
let you start with it, and I'll add context as we go.
So if you don't have any PowerShell experience, you might find it challenging to customize a few things, although we do offer support with through the PSM function. But PIA does not require like a fully blown PowerShell to be a fully blown PowerShell wizard. And then obviously you can use the AI component, like Pablo said, and we're coming up with the AI agent to build your own packages. And this is something that I acknowledge that this is sometimes can be a bit of a skill barrier, although we do help with with your Partner Select Manager. So I think that AI agent, it's fantastic. It's going to it's going to fill the gap and overcome that barrier when
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's needed. Yeah.
I can tell you when I first started, I didn't know anything about YAML files. And
Yeah.
so I just went to Claude. And I mentioned Claude just because I use it as my coder most of the time, but you can use ChatGPT as well. It's the same thing. You can build a project inside there, give it all your current working code, or at least samples of it, and then it can help you build code based off of that working code. So you don't really need to know PowerShell or YAML. You can use AI to help you kind of leverage it and learn it. That's kind of what I did. That's kind of my recommendation. And you can also ask the AI about, hey, what does this do as well? That's another benefit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
If you don't know what a specific piece of code does, feed it to the AI. Hey, what is this for? It tells you what it does and comments it.
I have nothing to add, Alyssa. They nailed it.
Awesome. Cool. We do have one more question from one of my buddies. How's it going? Do you have a roadmap showing when all these cool new things will be live?
I don't know if we actually have a roadmap document. I don't know who's asking that, but they can definitely connect with their PSM, and we can allocate some time to go through it in depth. So like I said, the Automation Hub will be it'll be technically live in the next couple weeks, but it'll be functional and you'll be able to leverage it. Jason will sign up for the beta, but by the end of the year. And then the builder stuff we'll start betaing with a few partners actually by the end of this year also. So trying to going live early next year. But we can do to whoever asked a more thorough roadmap walkthrough is, happy to do that
Yeah.
offline.
We'll get that going. Last question. Do you or can you interact with Threat Locker?
That's a good question because we actually just looked at that yesterday too.
I think
I do not have the answer. Nick, do you know?
we need to, well, yes, when and what I always say is we're not limited to Pia's capabilities. We're limited by the vendor's capability to API into them. So I believe there is an API open from ThreatLocker. We just need to go to the API website, check the documentation, and check what the endpoints are. And I'm not sure at the moment.
And to help with that, you can use that thing that we were talking about in Claude or ChatGPT with the packaging. Go grab their Swagger URL that tells you everything about their API.
Yes.
Put that into Claude or ChatGPT and have it help you build the code based on that working API documentation.
I did that yesterday, last night for 3CX. I did the same thing, deep research, ChatGPT, and I said, give me, using REST API, can you give me PowerShell scripts to create, I think it was a DID or a user, a VoIP extension or a contact, and it spit out the code.
That's awesome.
All right. That made a flurry of, I know we're 1 minute
saw
over,
that.
so yeah, so we'll need to wrap up soon, but are y'all good to answer a few of these more questions that just
Absolutely.
came in?
Yes.
I'm
Okay.
here.
All right, so we got a follow-up on the threat locker to answer live, specifically putting devices in learning or install mode so the installation will actually install.
Okay,
It's
so
more of
I would say talk to your
Uh,
account manager and use a deep research function to understand if those endpoints are live with it, and there is sufficient enough documentation, and start building, start connecting the software to Pia.
Yeah, and when I was in their web UI yesterday, I saw that you can download an MSI, so obviously that could be scripted and pushed out. But they also have a PowerShell script in there as well, so you can take that and implement it into, an activity inside of Pia.
Okay. Will we get a Pia API anytime soon? Might be for David.
Oh yeah, yes, 100%. It's very much well underway. I don't have a timeline yet, but it is well underway.
Nice. Well, one more question for you, David. Is Thread and Pia integration on the way? Maybe even
Also on
Pablo
the
can speak
way.
to this too.
Also on the way. Hopefully by the end of the year, but some really exciting capabilities there that we'll be doing together for sure. And then hooking up MCP server, that is also on the roadmap. The ability to do that. So that is on the roadmap as well. APIs have to be live first, but then that is not far behind it.
That's awesome. I didn't even know about that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Nice. And Jesse Knight says for the cherry on top, I have a Pia product specialist agent I created that can use the knowledge base to get answers and help me create packages. That is really freaking awesome. Very cool.
That is
Jesse,
cool.
we'll be bugging you to join the next office hours then. All right. Awesome. Well, thank you guys very much. If y'all, for whatever reason, the attendees, if y'all, for whatever reason, didn't want to ask your question here, you can reach out to your partner success manager and ask them following this office hours. And a big thank you to our wonderful, lovely hosts today. Especially you, Pablo. Thanks for joining on and representing us from the partner standpoint. I think it really helps our other partners be able to see someone that's in a similar seat to them. So thank you guys for joining.
Anytime.
If you're looking for more ways to connect, we're wrapping up the year with a few events. We've got IT Nation in Orlando happening right now, ending tomorrow, and IT Nation Evolve in New Zealand from November 24th to 26th that Nick will actually be present at, so you'll be able to say hi to him if you're going there. We also have our product update webinar where we'll feature some of the topics David touched on today. Later this month as well. I think it was like November 20th, and I have the registration links in the chat already. Our next office hours and last office hours for the year is scheduled for December 4th, where we'll talk about PIA-specific best practices, tips, and tricks. I'll put the link in the chat right now if y'all would like to save your seat for that. And then as always, if you haven't joined our Discord community yet, please do. It's a great way to stay up to date on PIA and also be able to chat directly with each other and Pablo and as our dev team as well. So the link is also in the chat for that one. And as I mentioned, please keep your eye out for that short survey that comes at the end of this session. Please be as honest as possible. We read every single response, and we take it very personally. So there's that. All right, cool. Thanks for joining. I hope to see you at the next office hours or maybe at some of our events in our Discord server, and make it a great day.
Thank you,
Take
everyone.
Thanks,
care.
Alyssa.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, guys.
Bye, y'all.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.